little bit about reclassification of our dually identified students. And this is a chart that we like to share because we have found that it is an eye-opener for our teachers. It's the ELD progression timeline. So when our students are enrolled in our US school system, of course, they start with year number 1, but as they progress throughout the years, the goal is that the students progress one level a year. And of course, at some point, they might end up staying maybe at the expanding level for 2 years because the standards are very, deep. And so the goal is to reclassify our EL students if they've been in our US school system since kindergarten or TK, that they reclassify before they leave elementary school. And so if by the 6th year they're not reclassified and they've been in our US school system since TK or kindergarten, then they are considered long-term English learners. That's a red flag for us because we need to ask ourselves, why has the student not reclassified, and look deeper into the root cause. Of course, with our students with disabilities, we do have to look at their unique case, right? But that's overall the expectation for English learners from the state as well. Here are the criteria. Here's the criteria that Brian shared earlier. I don't need to go very much in detail because he already explained the four criteria here, unless you have a question on here. But this is based on the CDE, the state's criteria for reclassifying English learners, and a little bit more on how to support our dually identified students for reclassification. So we need to make sure that when we do come to that decision of reclassifying our ELs with disabilities, that they are receiving the comprehensive ELD, which means that they are receiving integrated and designated ELD. And then also, looking at the alignment of the evidence best practices, the strategies that are being used, and then across the content areas, providing explicit instruction during the ELD standards delivery, during the designated instruction. And then so here we have some recommended teaching and learning strategies. And again, they come out from the California Practitioners Guide, page 322 through 326, but you can see these as using them to help students reclassify scaffolding comprehension, fostering vocabulary, and you can see the rest of the list, collaborating discussions and sequencing. And so Diana touched on primary language support based on the practitioner's guide. This is a way to support English learners and can be provided when they need it so that they have equal access to their learning tasks. So when we say primary language support, it does not mean you're going to teach in the primary language. It's just mainly providing them perhaps with the instructions so that they understand the task. Maybe some of the written translation can be provided for them, or bring attention to cognates. The cognates are maybe like the word information. It's spelled almost the same as in Spanish, información. Very, very similar. And then inviting students, if they need to or explain, they can explain in their primary language according to this task that you're expecting from them. Again, you can find more information on Chapter 7 of the Practitioner's Guide, page 321. And then what is the role of the IEP team in the reclassification of dually identified students? Well, the IEP, as Brian mentioned earlier, they're going to make the decision of reclassification as long as the team, again, it comes from the practitioner's guide, as long as the team members utilize the state reclassification that you just saw earlier, the 4 criteria, and apply the criteria to the students with disabilities using the state guidelines. They also recommend looking at their local reclassification guidelines. So in this case, the IEP case manager is going to review the student's performance data from progress to linguistically appropriate goals. So you see all of these here in parentheses, the student performance in ELA compared to the non-English learners and so on. And then the IEP team may determine appropriate measures of English language performance and basic skills. and in accordance with the local reclassification policies with their district, and then also looking at the state's criteria. So IEP teams may address the individual needs of each EL with a disability using multiple criteria, so using multiple measures with the 4 reclassification criteria. And they are saying that the 4 criteria are the minimum required components that the LEAs must include in their local reclassification policy.